Hey everybody, we're back again. We're having a great night. As you can see outside, it's getting darker and darker out. First Friday out here. Come out every first Friday for the Art Walk. Support local artists. I don't know if I've had a chance to say that yet, but we're getting to the wee hours of the night here, and I'm very happy to have my friend Adam Grotman, comedian Adam Grotman here. He was able to stop by because he was in town, and so we're going to talk a little bit about, because as many times as I've interacted with Adam on a lot of different creative projects, I don't think we've ever had you on the show talking about Adam Grotman. Yeah,
I have not.
Yeah,
I've walked by here before. I can't remember if it was you or whoever. I was just like at First Fridays and stuff.
Yeah,
So earlier than we moved here, and I was like, oh, they're doing a show in there and a cool little thing on the street.
Yeah,
or just on the street.
We're like ships in the night.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
We've done other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah.
Sitcom taping.
Three camera taping out at the Amazing Barn. You know,
the Amazing Barn, but. Yeah, because I think that was with Tim Hoffman's.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you were at, did you ever do any of the ones that was at that Thompson's Point?
I did not do anything.
I might have just met you there, like hanging out. Yeah.
I used to go out and occasionally do or hang at the distillery show at Thompson's Point.
So I might have met you there.
First moved here.
Yeah, okay.
I was going there and did a few sets there.
Yeah.
And also I did a fun thing. Like the New Year's Eve, was it? Where we did sets, where we actually did stand-up sets?
Yeah, you were there for that.
Yeah,
New Year's
that was
Eve.
pretty fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was probably our second New Year's Eve. Yeah, the big one with Johnny Ader was there and all those folks. Yeah, I remember that.
That was it. That was it.
You came and sat down on the couch and everything. So you've done a bunch of different programs.
Yeah.
First, the Friday PM, we've been here for 3 or 4 years. We like to get in depth with people, talk a little bit about, where they came from. And we talked a little bit earlier. So you grew up in Boston.
I grew up in the Boston area. Yep, pretty close in. And then my parents moved us to the other side of the state for a couple of years, but I then ended up graduating from high school right next to Boston. Then I went to college in Oregon. I decided to go Portland, Oregon, the other Portland. And then I went back to Boston, hung out for a few years, touched base with my old, where I grew up, and was sang in a rock band, started getting more into journalism, moved out to San Francisco just for whatever experience, just the itch to go somewhere, whatever, California. And then 3.5 years later, after San Francisco, moved down to LA, went into the jaws of the big, crazy Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Stayed there 25 years.
Wow.
And met my now wife, and we had our kid, and met a lot of people, had some interesting experiences, did some different things in Los Angeles. After I moved to LA, I got into stand-up, which is not the ideal way to do it, because the ideal way to do it is to start in a kind of normal secondary city, more of a real city, and then get strong stand-up legs, then move to Los Angeles.
Yes.
So when they see you, they only see you sort of ready for the big leagues.
Yeah.
Or at least something close to that. Whereas I came up as a little baby in LA, you know what I mean, little diapers, basically, and had to sort of work extra hard. And it's a weird city for stage time because there's a lot of it, but it's a lot of it is there's just not enough audience for all the shows it has to be, because there's thousands of comedians.
Yeah. And it's because I lived in LA too, and I did some background work because my folks were like, listen, I was trying to write and direct, and they were saying, look, you're a hermit. You don't do anything, because I didn't go out, I didn't party or anything. So they're like, just do this gig. And what I learned from actors was a similar thing. If you do too much background work, they only see you as the background person and not the star or whatever, even though it's kind of the stepping stone on its way to it. So with stand-up, it's got to be difficult, because a lot of the people that go out there, it's that they've done 5 years at the local things. They get out there. You started out there, and I know you've acted in some stuff. Were you acting a little bit before that, or it all went hand in hand?
Not before, although as soon as I arrived in LA, I started taking this method acting class, which was really good, cool thing.
Yeah.
And I just did it because I'm in Los Angeles. I'm not sure what I want to do. I just know I want to be around entertainment.
Right.
And I was already older than a lot of the kids start so young. But I mean, I felt pretty young at heart, And so then I just I took this method class for 2 years, and that overlapped with me getting up on a mic for the first time, because I went out and saw some good stand-up and I was inspired. And then I just blah, 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 and here you are. And it's the addiction that like I could never put down, you know what I mean? And here I am, you know, many years later, but I just kind of worked and just tried to like improve and learn and started to work my way up, started to get on shows I wasn't before, started to like, I feel like get better and be able to whatever, improve and find my legs and try to find my genuine style and all that. But I did other stuff too. Like I was in a sketch group that went to some cool festivals. I went through Second City, the whole Second City program that moved to LA. And out of that came this sketch group that did some cool things, some cool festivals and stuff. And got to do some interesting writing things and got to like work and write for some comedians that I met who like had careers. I mean, you know, like pretty good kind of touring careers and stuff. And yeah, just I got to be in some really cool commercials, a few independent little like projects as acting and also like I had a partner who was good at like, he was the technical like director, want to be a director guy. He's a film editor for money like during the day. And he wants to also be in like, he's got a decent directing sense. So we would do things together. We would make like videos, short films that actually did really well in some festivals and stuff like that. So on the way, and then I got back to journalism. I just like never thought I would, but I got back into journalism, and I wrote for the LA Weekly, and I got to write a lot of articles. Some of them I got to like use humor, but I got to like meet really interesting people, and sometimes write about comedians that I knew.
Right.
So just and adventures and just crazy like 25 years. I mean.
So now, what then plucks you from there to Portland? Seems like it was during COVID, maybe.
It was just after COVID.
Yeah.
But what happened was we'd been there a long time. My wife and I, she only moved there a few years after I did. We met though, like years later after we both moved there, like 2010. And so we'd both been there over 20 years. And I didn't have anything big to keep me there in terms of, oh, you can't walk away from this gig. You know what I mean? Right. And it was just like, so we decided that we kind of maybe wanted to like move somewhere a little more normal, just somewhere not as kind of on the edge and a weird, strange, sort of unrealistic city in some ways. Yeah. Even though LA is really nice in a lot of ways, but it's also getting rougher. But we couldn't buy a house there, you know, because it's insane, crazy expensive. And the 2020 was a really horrible year in LA, and that really helped hyperdrive our desire to actually make the big move. There was like the toughest COVID lockdowns. Oh, yeah. I mean, compared to 90% of the country, maybe like a couple places were as stringent, but it was crazy lockdown compared to some places. There was riots in the city that almost came up to Burbank, and they were in nice parts of the city. Oh, yeah. They never did anything to anybody. They were not full of like mean conservatives at all. So that was horrible. And then there were forest fires outside of LA, but all the smoke came in for 5 weeks. Yeah. And you couldn't do anything outside. It was scary. It was like being on a hostile planet. So the combination was like really made it easy to get motivated, because you'd hear about other people moving away who like still were doing entertainment stuff and saying you could. So started to think about different places, blah, blah, blah. My wife said, okay, I'll do a winter now. Now I'm willing to move to a place for the winter. Right, Thought about the Boston area. I'm like, no, you know what? More affordable, but also interesting, something new and different that's close enough to where I grew up, but totally a different, its own thing. Yeah. Portland, Maine. I just literally just thought of it. And I was like, I only been there a little bit, but I start looking into it and everything was positive. And it was like, I was like, oh, this is confirming my feeling. Maybe it was a pretty cool city. Yeah. And people said, yeah, it's really been getting more like artistic, interesting stuff. So I like did a visit here, just kind of really start researching. And then we just made the jump in summer 2022. We just moved, and we got an apartment only a little before we actually like the stuff got here, and we got here and drove across the country. And then we rented at 2 places in Portland, and then we were able to buy in Brunswick, which we like. Yeah. And I come into Portland, you know, fairly often, but yeah, man, it's cool. It's one of those things where it would have been easy to like talk about it and think we were never going to do this. Right. And now I look back and I'm like, yeah, we did it. Right. Yeah. We did it. It's been coming up not that far from 3 years. And I think I met you a few years ago already. At least 2 years ago. Yeah. You probably met me like my first year. Yeah. You guys had just moved here. We were talking about, because you teach classes in improv. Yeah. So I still do. I started that I started that in the fall of 2022, and it's going. It's going to be a superstitious little thing over here.
Right, yeah.
No, it's going well, man. It's going strong. It's going strong. We have just started a new block of classes. We have like lots of students. So
Brunswick is kind of fun, I think, because you have some of the college vibe. You have people that are having a good time, and it's not so far, 20, 25 minutes or at the most, right?
Yeah. Like you can totally, like my wife came back to a job right here in North Erie, Portland.
Yeah.
She commutes every day. She commutes sometimes 6 days a week because she does a few hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
I come in for at least my improv class, but I always end up coming to Portland for something else. Stand-up gig. I mean, sometimes blah, 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 once a week or other appointments, whatever. So, it's nice because it's cool. It's got a little slice of the sort of Portland creative, open-minded
scene
vibe, but it's smaller and mellower and I like both.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. I like coming in here,
Well, so can you come back this summer? Because I think we're running out of time on the show, but I want to talk to you more about things. Can tell the audience where they can find you online.
Yeah. The shows that I run, it's Adam Grotman, GROPPMAN. And I'm running this show under the Laughter Effect banner, LAFFTER, which is something I've been doing for some years. And it's a monthly show in Westbrook.
Yep.
And it was at the Frog and Turtle.
Yep.
And it's monthly, and I get a really good headliner from Boston, and I try to make the lineup, good, not too many comics, but so now we're at George and Leon's in Westbrook next Friday the 11th with Dan Bolger from Boston, who's like won all these contests, multiple TV. I mean, really just goes everywhere. Opens for Gary Gulman. So come out to George and Leon's for a comedy situation.
Yes.
And look for that online.
Look for it online, and then look for your social media, because this is going up tonight. So we'll be able to get that. This will be next Friday night. At George and Leon's. On the 11th.
Tonight.
All right.
And
awesome.
Talk more next time.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.